Hey everyone, it's David here. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. So today we have some news to discuss. So recently King's Out came out with a new promotion. So basically all of Wizard City is going to be free from now until the end of this year. And that's very interesting. It's made its rounds throughout social media. Different people have different thoughts about it, and mostly what I've read is very positive about this. This is something that the community has always pushed for quite a while now, and I guess they're exploring more and more options and testing the water, if you will, by making Wizard City and Crocotopia free for like a week or two. And now, for the first time ever, they've made Wizard City free for an extended period of time. I would say, what is this going to be, about 2 months? I say 2 months is a pretty extended period of time. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're doing this right as Novus, the new world, is about to come out. I definitely think it has to do with each other. I definitely think it's a marketing strategy to just make Wizard City free when Novus comes out, because their data shows, I mean, you don't even need to track data to know that Wizard101 is the most active when a new world is about to come out. That's why they keep pumping these new worlds out. There's still a significant portion of players who they do not really actively or play Wizard101 at all unless there's a new world to quest through, because they don't find any of the activities, they don't find any of the in-game activities worthwhile. So, from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to keep pumping out these new worlds. And I think what their idea is, let's make Wizard City free, right? So, the people that we banned, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the people that we banned for saying nothing, just because we have a highly authoritarian, highly suppressive chat system. We ban a lot of people. Those people don't have accounts anymore. But hey, we're releasing Novus. They might come back for Novus. So let's go ahead and make Wizard City free to incentivize them to make a new account since we banned their old one. They probably didn't actually think that was a joke. But, I definitely think it's a marketing strategy, right? I definitely think they're trying to capitalize on this new wave of players that are either going to be, that are mostly going to be coming back. Because, like I said, when a new world comes out or it's about to come out is when Wizard101 is the most active. And in the past, they never really capitalized on that momentum leading up to a new world, and I guess they're doing so now. Now, I have never been one to push for making more areas free. But then again, I don't know if that'll help or not. I'm not really a serious gamer. I just took Wizard101 really seriously. But outside of Wizard101, I'm not really a serious gamer. I don't really play games like that. So maybe I'm just ignorant. But I have never been one to just think, hey, if more areas were free, Wizard101 will have more players. I think the issue is way deeper than that. I think the issue is with the graphics of this game, right? You have the commons, which is revamped, which is cool. You have characters that are revamped, which is cool. But, once you step into... I think they honestly just stopped at Trident Avenue, actually. Like, once you stepped into Firecat or Cyclops or Crocotopia, you're still getting that old graphics until... I don't know at which world started getting the newer graphics, but there's still a large chunk of worlds from between Crocotopia to I don't know to where, but there's a large chunk of worlds in the beginning and in the middle that the graphics are just not updated, and I don't think the youth of today would tolerate that, just because they just have so many better options with the graphics, right? Like every other competitive game that they can play, or every other popular game that they play, they have really good graphics. I just don't think the kids of today will tolerate the graphics of Crocotopia and Mollybone, and Mushu and Dragonspire, so on and so forth. I just don't think they'll tolerate that. I think that's the much deeper rooted problem with Wizard101 if they're trying to grow more. Now, if they're satisfied with the money that they're making, and they're already making pretty great money, I will say, so they might just be content with what they're making. But if they really want to grow, I think that's the much more deeper rooted problem. I don't think making, I don't think the paywall being so early is the problem. Now, I do think it was the problem early in the days, right? In 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, when this kind of graphic, when the graphic they had was basically the standard, I do think that the early paywall at that time was a big problem because that paywall was really early. I remember clearly having a conversation with someone, I think literally, actually this was in high school. And I don't know how we got to talking to Wizard101. I guess maybe they were just asking me about, like, what are the things that I like to do. And I've always been honest with people about, my Wizard101 addiction. I've never just, tried to hide it. Even in school, when people are like, so what do you be doing? I'll just be like, oh, I play computer games. What games do you play? Wizard101. You know what I mean? So I think that's how the conversation started, and the other guy was like, oh yeah, for real, I used to play that game too, but I hit the paywall, so I had to quit. You know what I mean? So I definitely do think in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, if they had made the paywall a little bit later, right? Because I think Trident Avenue is pretty early. Like, if they had made the paywall, let's say, after the first area of Crocotopia, I do think they definitely would have converted more, free-to-play players into pay-to-play players. I do believe that. But, I mean, it's 2022 now, right? It's too late. It's too late for that. Like, it's just really hard for me to imagine, like, a 10-year-old kid picking up Wizard101 for the first time in 2022. You know what I mean? And, they just decide to quit after Trident Avenue, but they would have decided to continue after Crocotopia. I just don't see that. I just don't see a significant amount of difference that would make. You know what I mean? I just don't see... First of all, I don't even see, like, that many new players. I can't imagine Wizard101 has that many new players. I really think the vast majority of new players, quote-unquote, are old players returning, or players who have already had some exposure to Wizard101 before. I just don't think they're just attracting organic growth in this day and age. Maybe they are, but I just don't think it's that many people. I think most people are returning players. Now, I do want to give the community a brief explanation of why the paywall was so early, why the paywall is at the end of Trident Avenue. Now, I don't have any insider information, but this is just from a business point of view. It seems pretty obvious. So Wizard101, when it first started, right, it took years to make this game. Before this game launched, it took years in the making, right? I think they started making it in 2005 and released it in 2008 or something like that. It took years in the making, and you have to understand there was so much money invested into the making of this game, into hiring staff, into hiring graphic designers, computer programmers. It's just so much money spent onto this game. And one thing I want to just emphasize is the music of this game. The music of the earlier worlds, the music of Wizard City, Marleybone, Mushu, just specifically the music of those three worlds are absolutely outstanding. Just absolutely tremendous, amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, it's just top tier quality, choreographed music, orchestra music, whatever you call it. The music is 10 out of 10. Just it's one of the best parts about this game, right? I've also heard people say the same thing about the voice actors of these earlier worlds. Now, I've always kind of just skipped the dialogues, but the music really makes a huge difference. It's one of those things that you don't really notice. You don't really notice it grabbing you towards this game and making you love this game. But once you get older, you kind of look back and realize, wow, this music is amazing. And, keep in mind that all of this music is original content, right? Wizard101 didn't just grab this music from, like, a library, of published music. They created this music from scratch. All of that took a lot of money, right? And I just can't get over the music. The music of Wizard City, Marleybone, and Mushu are just fantastic, outstanding. I don't think they'll ever be able to recreate that magic of the music of those worlds again. If there was an award for MMO music, I don't know if there is. I don't think there is. But if there was, KingsIsle definitely would have won that award just hands down because the music is fantastic. But the point of saying all that is a lot of money was invested in the making of this game. And this game, you can't. It's an MMO, right? It's the pay structure is monthly, or with add-ons. It's not like a Steam game where you buy it once and you just have it forever, right? So they couldn't really take pre-orders. They didn't launch a Kickstarter whatsoever. It was purely just an investment, believing that it'll net more returns than invested, right? And so you have to keep in mind the thought process of the leadership when they first, released this game. Like, hey, we've spent either hundreds of thousands of dollars or what I probably millions of dollars, honestly, into making this game. We invested so much money into making this game, and they weren't sure they were going to get their money back, right? You can really have the strongest belief that something is going to happen. You can really believe in the Wizard101 project, but you still don't know for sure. You can't tell what the future is going to hold, right? So they weren't sure they were going to get their investment back. And for that reason, that's why the paywall was at the end of Trident Avenue, right? Where, an average person might look at that and be like, wow, why is KingsIsle so greedy? Why is the paywall so early in the game, right? Like, you could literally quest for 1 hour or 2 hours and boom, you're at the paywall. Well, it's because they've invested so much money into this game and they weren't sure if they were even going to get half or a quarter of their investment back, right? They could have easily lost money on this game. They weren't sure. So that's why they wanted to recoup as much money as possible, and obviously they want to make more money, but they want to at the very least recoup their initial investment, right? When you invest money into something, whether it's a stock, a cryptocurrency, real estate, whatever it is, you want to get your return back. You don't want to just invest in it and have the money, flush down the toilet. You want your money back. So that's why the paywall was implemented so early into the game, because they wanted to get their money back, right? They wanted more players to pay. I guess their thought process was the more we give for free, the less people will pay. Because you have to keep in mind, back when there wasn't that many worlds, the crown system, there used to be a debate between Wizard101 enthusiasts between which one is the better deal monetarily, right? Is it the membership or is it the crowns? And the idea was, hey, if you get membership, it's way cheaper. And the other side of crown players were like, well, if you buy crowns, you have it forever, right? I'm a slow quester. I want to have the area forever. I want to make 5 other different accounts, right? If I had membership, I would have needed maybe 5 different memberships. But hey, I bought this area with crowns, so now I can quest on my time and I can quest 5 other characters. So there used to be a debate about that. Now I really don't think there is a debate. It's obviously membership is better just because, there's just so many areas. If you buy all of them with crowns, you're dropping quite a hefty bag on it. So yeah, what I was talking about is, players nowadays, we have some kids who they joined this game when there was already 8 worlds, 10 worlds, and they're like, yeah, why is the paywall so early? Well, you have to understand back then there was a significant amount of crowns players who purely quested by buying areas with crowns. And again, KingsIsle's thought process was the more areas that we make for free, the less crown revenue we'll get, right? Now, fast forward to 2022, all those ideas are way outdated, right? All the reasons for having a paywall so early, they've been outdated years ago, right? They've already recouped probably 1,000 times, 10,000 times their initial investment back. They've already, you know what I mean? There's not really a base of players that only quest with crowns anymore. I would say probably 90 to 99% of our players now, they quest by buying membership. So it doesn't really make that much sense to have the paywall that early anymore. Now, with that said, the only pushback that I've heard from people saying, I actually don't know if this is straight from KingsIsle because I don't really keep up with all that, but the only pushback I've heard is, okay, if we make more areas free, then people who have bought those areas with crowns are going to want their money back. And that's just laughable to me because that's just how the world works. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you an example. There's a game that I used to like to play. It's called Total War Shogun 2. It's basically a turn-based war strategy game. Those are, outside of Wizard101, that's the only other genre of game I like to play. That game, right, when it first came out, it was like $60. Now, you can buy that game for like $2. Same with any other game, right? Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed games, all of those games, NBA 2K, all those games, when they first came out, they're $60 minimum, right? Nowadays, they're $10, or some are even like $5. You know what I mean? Practically free. That's just how gaming works. What used to be valuable before is no longer valuable today, right? Because time has passed. It's no longer new. People value new. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you bought those areas with crowns before, but guess what? Now they're useless. Deal with it. The fact that there are even players that would demand their crowns back just tells you just the culture and the relationship between KingsIsle and the community, right? There was a time where KingsIsle, you know, didn't even know what the community said because they could care less, right? And the community just rose up really loudly saying, hey, please listen to us. But those days are long, long gone. I actually think the pendulum is tilted toward the other way now. I think KingsIsle listens too much to the community. Now, they're not going to just listen to like just a random Bob Jones on Twitter, but they listen to the creators, like, honestly, in my opinion, too much. And there's an irony in me saying this because it's like a creator telling KingsIsle to stop listening to creators. So even if they stop listening to creators, they will be listening to a creator saying that. So I see the irony in that. But again, I just think they listen to the creators too much, right? Because we're not always right. You know what I mean? We don't know everything. None of us have any degrees in game design, game theory whatsoever. You could be the smartest person in the world, but that doesn't mean you're an expert in game theory. You know what I mean? It's I don't think people give enough respect to the staff at KingsIsle. You know, those people actually have degrees. They actually study game design, game theory, coding, blah blah, whatever, right? Business, marketing, all of that good stuff. I actually think the pendulum has swung too far on the other side, right? For players to even feel entitled enough to demand their money back for areas they spent money on years ago that now is not worth anything. I think that entitlement comes from KingsIsle being too soft. I think they need to lay down a law and just be like, dude, you know, you don't, what's your credentials? Like, what are you? Yeah, you play this game, that's cool. You know what I mean? If you've driven a car for 20 years, that doesn't make you a car mechanic. You still can't fix a car. You know what I mean? Like, what's your? You can't just say, oh, I drove cars for 20 years, so I know what's wrong with this car. You need to do this. No, you don't. You know what I mean? Experiencing something on the player perspective, on the user perspective, is completely different from the maker-creator perspective. You know what I mean? People can't just say, I played this game 10 years, I know you should do this. It doesn't work like that. What's your credentials? Did you study game design? Did you study game theory? What's your credentials? Did you work for another successful game company? What is your credentials? You can't just listen to people just because they play this game for a long time. I think the fact that some community members even feel entitled to want their crowns back is it just shows that KingsIsle is being a little bit too soft lately. Because back in the days, they knew better than asking for their money back, because they knew KingsIsle wouldn't even read what they wrote. You know what I mean? So I think the pendulum has swung too far on the other side. I think KingsIsle should lay the law down and just do what they think is right and not care about, you know, Bob Jones on Twitter saying, hey, I want my money back, or hey, you know, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. So that's really my opinion on the whole thing. I don't know if making more areas free will help Wizard101 at this moment. I think the bigger problem is the graphics, but I also think, you know, I also understand that it takes a lot of money to update the graphics. I have no idea, you know, that's just my opinion. I have no idea what they should do. Just do whatever you want, KingsIsle. So that's basically it for this video. Let me know what you think about KingsIsle making Wizard City free for 2 months. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, see ya.